With MARESCA'S demands to sign a new goalkeeper, today it's been revealed that we have made contact for two incredible options. Today, my friends, we have some big stories to discuss. This summer is set to be another crazy window, with MARESCA needing 4 to 5 players to add to his new team. So I'm here to discuss the latest reports. I hope you guys enjoy. Hit that like button and don't forget to watch yesterday's big predicted lineup involving MARESCA and what he could do. Hope you guys enjoy and getting straight into things. We start things with a very interesting report involving Leeds left winger Crysencio Summerville, who absolutely tore things up last season in the Championship, where he ended up being Leeds' top goal scorer, scoring 19 goals in all competitions. Now, after Leeds' failure to gain promotion into the Premier League, losing to Southampton in the final, it seems like Leeds may be forced to sell some star players after not gaining promotion. Now, there's much interest around players like Nonto, Archie Gray, and most importantly Crysencio Summerville, where reports state that he has a market value of around £30 million. Now, Leeds must sell to comply with FFP and to help their finances after missing out on promotion, but today it was revealed by the Financial Times that Red Bull have acquired some minority stakes in Leeds United. This will mark their first entry into English football. They are said to be their front of kit sponsor, but even though their investment will help Leeds, it won't be as dramatic as an investment because they missed out on promotion. I know I keep saying promotion a lot right now, but Leeds are going to lose some star players because they're gaining interest and attention from everywhere. Most in particular with Crysencio Summerville, because us and Liverpool are showing strong interest at the moment. It has been revealed that we have been following the winger for a long time, and for me it makes a lot of sense because if you guys been watching my channel for a while, you would have constantly heard me praise the level and standards of the Championship ever since we introduced players like your Mounts, Tammy Abrahams, Reece Jameses into our first team. The standard has gone up. This is a great league to test out young talents, and we're seeing how great young talents in the Championship are seamlessly showing their quality in the Premier League. And I say this because I don't think there's any risk in targeting a left winger like this a division below. Now, in terms of dribbling stats, because for me that's the key thing, if we sign an attacking player, I need someone that can bring that X factor, that dribbling threat. Summerville ranks 4th for take-ons and 3rd for successful take-ons. Now, what separates him from other wingers though is that he ranks very high for shot creating actions after a dribble, which essentially means that there is purpose behind his dribbles. He wants to dribble towards goal so he can take shots on goal, so he can be inside the box. On top of this too, he's good technically, very quick feet, great change of direction, and he can also deliver a very nice set piece. I like wingers that can do both. Now, obviously, if we were to potentially sign him for a great fee, by the way, he would be competition with Mudryk. And when you compare some of their stats, in my opinion, this is where stats kind of loses me personally, because listen, I've seen Mudryk constantly show that unreliability when it comes to take-ons, being quite ineffective at times, whereas dribbling can be like a flip of a coin. And I feel like when Mudryk is playing at full speed, full tempo, when he's fully playing at his instinctual best, that's when you see what he can do. But if you were to compare who's a better dribbler based on Mudryk and based on Summerville, for me, Summerville looks clear. Summerville looks better. With Sterling going and maybe potentially another attacking player, could Summerville be a smart option to turn towards? Who knows? Let's see how this story plays out, because for sure this guy is going to a top club this summer. And now let's move on to the next report and we discuss the future of Andre Santos, because it links in perfectly to the third story. And at the moment we're learning that Santos is set to return back to the club to be assessed by Enzo Maresca during pre-season. Now, he ended Strasbourg incredibly strong, winning 2 back-to-back Player of the Month awards there. He's only played 13 games for them, and you think to yourself, is it the right move to allow him to test himself against your Caicedos, your Enzos, your Lavias, and whoever else we sign or keep in midfield? Personally, I'm not too sure. If you ask me, I think he needs another loan where he's playing week in, week out, and I think you assess him when your Kendrys and your Esteval Williams come to the club. Now, originally the plan was for him to remain at Strasbourg for another season. I think at this age, it's probably the best move. Let him build some continuity with his manager, his teammates, and let him settle there even more, in my opinion. But we are learning that FC Porto are also expressing interest yet again for another consecutive summer to try and strike a deal to take him on loan. Let's see what happens there. Do we decide to loan him to one of our network clubs where maybe the environment is safer for his loan development, or do we take another Nottingham Forest-esque risk and loan him out to a club? Yeah, we can put in stipulations to try and guarantee he gets minutes like Broja at Fulham. You know, you'll pay us 4 million if he doesn't pay, but listen, that's still not a guarantee that your player is set to get those minutes. I'm not too sure, but I think this link to FC Porto segues in perfectly to the next big report, because right now we're going to discuss goalkeepers for this summer. Now, I called this news in my recent news video, but I said don't think that we've given up hopes on signing Diogo Costa, and it was revealed by journalist Rudy Galetti that we have already made contact with FC Porto over a potential move for Diogo Costa. This is massive news. As we know, MARESCA demands that he needs a ball-playing goalkeeper that is involved in the build-up phase. That's important. So if that's the case, you need a goalkeeper that not only has that composure on the ball, quality on the ball, but most importantly shows that quality stepping up outside of his box. I'm going to show you guys the quick FBref stats of Robert Sanchez and George Petrovic. As you can see, they're not necessarily elites like we need them to be at this level we're trying to get to. Sanchez, compared to Petrovic, is the better ball-playing keeper, but I would say more specifically on the ground, on the ball. I know in my predicted lineup video yesterday, a lot of people were getting angry seeing Sanchez there, but as I said, we're going to sign another goalkeeper. And as I said too, when you compare what we already have at this club, Sanchez is just the better goalkeeper on the ball, and that's why he could be prioritized potentially. Now, Galetti reports that Porto are most definitely open to a sale this summer, and already they are targeting a replacement in Real Betis goalkeeper in Rui Silva. So I think this is the perfect time to remind ourselves what happened last summer in our failed attempts to sign Diogo Costa back then. And we have to remember that FC Porto used their intermediary in Jorge Mendes to help find suitors, because back then they were even hoping to find a sale for Diogo Costa. Now at the time he had a release clause of 75 million, but as time went on last year, there was a clause in that contract which meant that his release clause would then become 100 million euros. Now FC Porto have been under fire with UEFA and FFP for a very long time. Last summer it was revealed that they had to raise funds of around 45 million before July 1st. They failed that, and it then meant that they had to raise funds of around 68 million before the 31st of December. Now what's happened since? Well, on the 15th of April this year, they were sanctioned by UEFA for failure to comply with FFP. This meant they had to pay a 2 million penalty fine, which prevented them from being suspended from European competition. Currently, they are still under scrutiny, and if they fail again within the next 3 years to comply with FFP, they will definitely get a permanent ban from participating in European football. At the moment, Porto have been working tirelessly to normalise their accounts, but it's still not looking good for them or the club right now. Not only did they miss out on Champions League qualification, coming third in the league this season, but their manager of 7 years, in Diogo Costa, has left them after 7 years. This is probably the best opportunity right now to tempt FC Porto into selling Diogo Costa for a favourable fee. There's no way we're paying 100 million. There's no way we're paying 75 million. Last summer, we entertained trying to buy Diogo Costa when his release clause was around 75 million euros, breaking that fee into 3 equal parts of 25 million euros. Now, I think Ebola reported last year that there was now a clause in Diogo Costa's contract, which now means that the value is now worth 100 million euros, but Porto realistically know that no club will pay that type of money. So I think a figure around 75 million euros would be more realistic, but with their financial difficulties, I think there's a deal that can now be struck. I think they could accept less money, and I think that if Andre Santos was offered as part of a loan exchange, maybe for 2 years, but realistically 1 year, I think there's a deal that can be struck which allows us to sign him for the figures and structures that we want to get him for. And I think for a keeper like this who is elite on the ball, and I really mean this, He'll connect the fields with his long-range passes. The guy's amazing at that. The composure. You know, he's not afraid. He doesn't just move the ball quickly out of fear. He's got that composure to maintain it. Listen, when we get more reports around him, expect me to discuss this game in even more detail, yeah? So my friends, that's the big story out the way. We now end things with another interesting story involving a Villarreal goalkeeper. This story was first broken by Revelo and has now been confirmed by other outlets in Spain and from the BBC as well in the UK. And essentially, our supporters in Newcastle have sounded out Danish international goalkeeper in Filip Jorgensen. Now, last season was his first breakout season at Villarreal. I think he kept like 4 to 6 clean sheets, but at the moment, contractually, his deal expires in 2027 and he is protected by a 40 million release clause. Now, reports have suggested that we have made contact to find out the conditions it would take to buy him from Villarreal. Villarreal don't necessarily need his release clause to be activated, but they would like a high fee, of course, to be able to sell a goalkeeper that came through their academy, a goalkeeper that they've seen within their ranks who has incredibly high potential, someone that they've been waiting to make his announcement in the first team. And this is why they even sold Argentinian goalkeeper Rulli to make way for the inevitable of Jorgensen becoming the first choice goalkeeper. And he had a very promising season, and this resulted in a very promising season with Villarreal last season. Now, if you remember how we signed Nicholas Jackson from Villarreal, we did slightly overpay his release clause to allow us to better structure the deal over time, because for us, it works better for us financially when we can structure a deal over years to help balance our books. So could we do something similar for Jorgensen? Who knows? But reports mentioned that interested parties feel like the valuation for the goalkeeper is more around £20 million. So maybe something between 20 to 30 million could be enough to strike a deal. Time will tell. But I think we can take confidence from the fact that Villarreal at heart are a selling club. And I'd imagine that they're going to fear losing out on star players like Soloth and Buena, who also had great seasons last season. Now, in terms of the contract that Jorgensen is on, I think he's earning around 11.5k a week, which is nothing. That's a pittance. We could easily triple that, easily, and not even blink twice. And then it comes back to, why are we turning our attention to someone like him? At 22 years old, Nini, is he too young? We just signed Petrovic. What about Gabriel Salina, who I thought you said recently the club thinks he could be one of the next great goalkeepers in the world? Let's see what happens on that front. But in terms of Jorgensen's style, remember, as I keep stressing, Maresca needs a goalkeeper that can be involved in the build-up. We've seen Mikel at Girona introduce something similar as well too. This is the new modern day trend because it allows you to have an additional player further forward. That's the science behind this coaching, and Jorgensen is very accurate with his distribution on the ground. His long range passing is good. He has a variety of passes he can use, and I think for us, we're going to need that type of goalkeeper that can connect our wingers and behinds, that can connect the players in the channels when we're kickstarting attacks. That's the type of distribution that we need, and I think we've seen Petrovic really struggle when it comes to really connecting the field at all. Sanchez is better in that aspect, but as an overall goalkeeper, he's still not at the world-class level that we need. So it's obvious that we're going to sign a keeper that is more in line with what we need right now. But at the moment, we're looking at Costa, we're looking at Jorgensen, and James Trafford of Burnley. So I feel like Costa's number 1, Jorgensen might be number 3, and maybe Trafford might be number 2, if I had to guess about the priority of the players on this list. But yeah, it's really interesting to see. What's your guys' thoughts on this game as you're watching this video? Let me know below. And on that note, I'm going to wrap things up now and keep things moving. So I hope you guys enjoy. Hit that like button. I'm Nini FC. This is BlueLionsTV. See you all soon.